Very pleasant good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, and we do have America's heartthrob over there, when Mike Lubitz.
Tis I.
You're in a pretty cheerful mood for a guy that should be face down in the gutter, absolutely despondent. I know there are a lot of good things going on in your life, but this has to create.
I didn't. If you think the Heat game, I didn't see the end. So if it was depressing, that'll be annoying.
I'm glad. I mean, you went right to it. So obviously, this is something that is disturbing to you. All around town, this is all you're going to hear about today. Never mind all the kvetching about Notre Dame and whether or not they deserve to be in the CFP playoffs. Never mind Don Mattingly, Donnie Baseball robbed. I mean, just an absolute disgrace that this guy didn't get into the Hall of Fame while Jeff Kent did. Although you don't really like to do that. You're either a Hall of Famer or not. That's why we've been talking about this. It was an Eddie Kaplan idea, inspired by the great Eddie Kaplan, that you're either a Hall of Famer or you're not. So it's a one-shot thing. It shouldn't linger on for 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, how long ago was Mattingly's last baseball game? It had to be 20 years ago.
Was it early 90s, mid 90s?
19 times the guy has been up for a possibility of induction, inclusion into the Baseball Hall of Fame. 19 times, Lubie.
Yep.
Nobody beats Vitas Garelitis 18 times in a row. Just unbelievable. I mean, are you a Hall of Famer or not? You're either a Hall of Famer 5 years after you retire or whenever they want to decide this, and it probably should be immediately. I don't know that you even need the waiting period. And if you're not a Hall of Famer, you're not a Hall of Famer. That's it. Boom, zippity-doo-dah. Have a nice day. We'll see you at the ceremonies. But a lot of things have been happening along those lines where there's bitching and moaning, and people are all upset and laced with anxiety. And yet, the concern around town today, I would imagine you couldn't go to any sports bar. You probably, if you're waiting for that bullet train to Orlando or whatever, I mean, wherever you are on a train station, it used to happen in New York. You'd be hearing sports discussions while you're waiting for a subway or whatever, or Long Island Railroad. All around town today, there will be bitter disappointment that the Heat were eliminated from the NBA Cup.
Oh, God.
How can we live with this? Lubie, how can we watch any more Heat basketball? Eliminated from the Cup in the quarterfinals. They've now lost 4 in a row. I believe, I want to say that I was half awake when I heard this. Did they not rattle off the first 15 points in this game? Were they up 15 zip?
They were up early on. So I was like, oh, good. This might be one of those games. And then around half, it was like they were down 1. I was like, uh-oh. This is not that game. This is going to be a tight one. And then the
question would be, the question would be, how disappointed are you, Lubie, that they don't win an NBA Cup? I mean, what if they go through their entire history and don't win the NBA Cup?
I don't know. Scary, sad stuff.
Is there anything that could be done to enhance the idea that this actually means something? Adam Silver, I don't know. I mean, are people talking about it, or is it just because it's in the media that these games are even related to the NBA Cup? But would you have had any idea if you just saw the score? Would you have been stunned? The final score in this game was 117-108 Orlando. And I believe is that back-to-back losses to Orlando? Did they just play the Magic like a couple of days ago?
I think so. I think they lost to them. Yeah, I think you're right.
Possible? I don't know. They lost to them earlier in the season somehow. But nonetheless, no cup for the Miami Heat. Still alive, however, and they're making a big deal out of this. Does it add significance? If you're a player, $500,000 is still $500,000. I don't care how many millions you have. $500,000 is a nice thing. And you could see where these superstar players, now nobody is broke that's playing in the NBA. There are guys, I think the league minimum is somewhere around $700,000. Is that possibly the number, Lubie? 700,000 league minimum. If you're on a roster in the NBA, you're making $700,000 if you go the distance on the season. 700,000. So at that point, another nickel, $500,000 would make a difference, especially since, and my son does taxes for various athletes. And so one of the weird aspects of it is you're subjected to the state tax in whatever state you happen to play in.
Yeah.
So let's say you're making $100,000 a game. You are subjected, and you're in California, and the state tax is 10%. And you're playing Golden State, you're playing Sacramento, you're playing the Clippers or the Lakers. and you're on the Timberwolves, or let's say you're on the Heat. Now all of a sudden they're raping you for 10 grand for that game if you're making 100 grand a game, which would be what 8.2 million for the year. That's almost lower level for NBA standards today. Remember when that guy what was it? Was it Hampton? Was his last name? They got that $50 million contract from the Nets. Who was the guy that was on the Heat? He was like a so-so player. And
Tyler Johnson.
Tyler Johnson, yeah, Hampton.
The one, the Wade, the one where they're like that could have been the Wade money, and then Wade got pissed, and that's what really set Wade and the Heat apart for a while.
$50 million they offered this guy for like a scrub guard.
He did nothing. I don't remember him doing anything with the Nets.
Nothing. Zero. Most people don't do anything with the Nets except scream, "I want out of here! Let me out of here!" How can certain franchises be awful forever, Lubie? That's a good question. How are the Pelicans, the New Orleans Pelicans, as bad as they are after, look, they've been lousy for a long time. They're getting all these top picks. Now, Zion didn't work out so well, and there were questions whether or not his body type and maybe somewhat of a perceived lack of work ethic. That's a bad city to be in, though, if you're inclined to be out of shape and want to get way out of the league. New Orleans, it's a sodium bloodbath, my God. But anyway, the disappointment, it's bitter. NBA Cup. You do have the Lakers in San Antonio. They're making a big deal out of that because it's an NBA Cup quarterfinal game, Louie. And the Lakers, are they the defending Cup champions? I believe they are. Or did Milwaukee win it last year? How did the order go? There have been two of them so far. Lakers won the first one, right? And they were bragging that this was some distinction, that they were the first ever winners of the NBA Cup. And, I mean, you would almost covet a cup around your jockstrap. More than you would winning the NBA Cup. Oh, what's the trophy look like, Louie? NBA has some pretty good trophies. Did you catch Messi wins the MLS MVP second year in a row? No surprise. He had like at least a goal in every game. I don't know. He must have had 100 goals. I still can't figure out when the season started, this last MLS. When did it begin? Where does it start? When does it end? That's the big question with the MLS. Now, is it fair to demon a minor league that Messi is literally just messing around in a minor league situation, and that he should be eliminated from consideration for any of the postseason accolades and awards that go along with winning the Inter Miami CF first championship ever? Did you see the trophy, though, they gave him for being a league MVP? I mean, this looked like something you picked up at Kmart. It was unbelievable. Are there still Kmarts? I haven't seen a Kmart in a long time. Kmart
I
still
feel like I saw one somewhere a little bit ago. I thought they were out of business, but I think there may be some still left.
This was the cheesiest, ugliest trophy I think I've ever seen. And next to the actual World Cup itself, which have you looked recently at the World Cup trophy? I mean, what is that? It looks like a doorstop. It's a school library. It really does. Anyway, Messi wins that. He's in celebration. There's a lot of reason to be sort of optimistic about things that are going on in South Florida right now. Canes got into the playoff and are in there with a half a shot. Did they have a half a shot? You say no.
I think it's A&M, yes. To win 4 games and win a title, I say no.
All right. The Heat, we're off to a really good start, but they've lost 4 in a row now and seem to be
is it 4 in a row? Yeah,
there'll be people pointing to the fact that Tyler Hero came back, and since he's come back, things have gone south.
They have.
Is that a fair parallel to make?
I think they won a couple games with him.
Yes, they started out great.
The last 4 obviously have not been the same. I mean, he put okay numbers up. You're seeing Ware do less. You're seeing Jaquez maybe regress to the mean. Like, you're seeing, I mean, like Powell's still playing well. Bam played pretty well. Wiggins gave you decent numbers. Hero was okay, but you didn't get anything from the other guys, and those guys were helping out a lot when Hero wasn't there.
They're not scoring as much all of a sudden. Remember, they were getting like 135, 140 a game. All of a sudden, you're looking at this 108 after getting off to, I'm pretty sure they were up 15-0. That they scored the game's first 15 points. That's a tough position to lose from. And especially, I mean, add in the bitterness of being eliminated from NBA Cup play early in the season like that. Now, there's been some conversation about maybe attaching a little bit more value to it other than just the nickel, the $500,000 that each player on the roster makes for winning the NBA Cup. You are playing Is it one extra game or two extra games if you go on and win the NBA Cup? I mean,
think
who
it's
would want to do that? But with all of this talk about load management and shortening the season, is it really any great distinction to say, hey, you know what? We played two more games than everybody else, too. I'm not sure that that is something that most NBA GMs would covet. That I mean, how phony and insincere is the ceremony when they hang the banner for the NBA Cup championship?
yeah.
Means nothing. I mean,
Well, the
and
cup thing,
everybody's
yeah.
trying to. What's that?
No, the cup thing is like
Stupid, right?
it's dumb. They do like a ceremony and everything. It's like, really, you're doing a ceremony for this?
Dumbest thing I've seen
That's
in
freaking
terms of
stupid.
trying to stimulate interest, except for the fact that I don't know, it causes people to write about early NBA regular season games.
I guess.
Otherwise, I mean, would I be aware that the San Antonio Laker game would be attractive because Wemby is coming back? Lakers are always a factor. They do have Luca, and of course, not Luca Lubitz, but Luka Doncic, the other Luca, and LeBron always is going to attract attention no matter what. I was reading a story today. Rich Paul, not to be confused with RuPaul, Rich Paul, the agent.
Yes.
He's the agent for both Antetokounmpo and LeBron James? I know he got to start through representing LeBron.
I didn't know they had Giannis, but I guess I mean their agency has done pretty well the last few years, so I wouldn't be surprised if Giannis was there.
New York Knicks. Supposedly they're all going to the Knicks.
Oh, all of
According
them.
to, yeah,
Oh,
LeBron finish it. I thought LeBron would be finished after this year. I really
I
believe
think
that.
he's done after this year. He's done. His numbers are taking a hit. He's missing games. I mean, I think he's done.
Seems like the end is near, does it not?
Yeah.
Although, I mean, look at Philip Rivers coming back to the
What,
Indianapolis.
he's been out 3 years? Is it 40? How long? Like
2020 was his last snap.
so 5 years.
I believe so, yeah. I
Oh,
want to say
Jesus.
2020.
5
He played 1
years
year with the Colts after like
of
28 years
football?
with the Chargers. Yeah. Philip Rivers. Oh, now, how desperate can you possibly be? There's no way that there isn't some quarterback that was cut recently from an NFL team. Hell, I mean, where's the screaming and all the noise for Colin Kaepernick? That
Oh,
would
well,
be
that doesn't
no,
make
that's got to be all
sense.
over ESPN. How could they take Philip Rivers when Kaepernick is available?
Yeah, it's been a
That
few
makes a big
years.
It's a racist league. Where's Bud Adams?
Exactly.
I mean, but what sense could that possibly make? The guy hasn't. He's been coaching high school football in Alabama. Philip Rivers. He's got 12 kids. That has to wear him out.
No, he had a ton of kids. That was the one thing I remember is that he had a ton of kids. He didn't give a crap. He had a boatload of kids.
Brian says Rivers trained with Drake May, so he was still. I mean, could he have been eyeing a comeback? I can't imagine.
I guess.
There's not one other quarterback these guys could have offered up a 6th-round pick in 2029 and said, "Hey, just out of mercy, lend us a guy. We'll give you a favorable consideration and a trade later on. We have no quarterbacks right now." Unbelievable. Can you see him playing in a game? Who do they have instead? All three of their guys are out. So who's going to? He's on the taxi squad, a practice squad right now, with the idea that he may even start a game. The Colts are significant dogs here to the Seahawks. They have to go on the road and play the Seahawks with no quarterback. What do you think? Would you lay double digits in that ball game, Lubie? Or do you figure the Seahawks just mail this one in and win by 10? And you end up losing your money even though you were right?
Nah, I mean, there's a lot in the NFL. I bet. I don't know. The Seahawks may win that very comfortably. That's a
The
tough.
Dolphins don't have some scrub quarterback they could trade to the Colts?
Well, they had, I think, Ewers, and I think Wilson is still there. I mean, again, Rivers hasn't played. When we last saw Rivers with the Colts, he was horrendous, and you're saying that's 5 years ago. Like,
He wasn't horrendous.
Yeah.
Stats with the Colts weren't bad, Louis.
Okay,
I was
we were
surprised.
watching, and it wasn't pretty whenever I watched him. So I don't know statistically what he figured out, but I don't know. 5 years for the NFL, that's a long time.
They always seem to be operating in a state of futility. All right, so yeah, a lot of stuff happening all over the place. So, although I really, it took me a while to overcome the emotion that I felt for the Heat being eliminated from the NBA Cup. They're screaming in New York about a lot of stuff, as they always are. Not the least of which was baseball winter meetings so far been ugly. They traded one of their popular players, Nimmo, and that didn't sit well with Met fans. Pete Alonso still remains undecided about what he's going to do and unsigned by the Mets. And Edwin Diaz takes a walk. Guess where he went? Edwin Diaz, the standout closer for the New York
Yankees.
Mets. Close. What would be your next
Red
destination?
Sox.
He goes to the Dodgers, of
Oh,
course.
Dodgers. Oh, geez, that was the next guess.
Didn't that Japanese kid look great in the postseason, closing games for him?
Yeah.
And so they end up with Diaz also. Get out of here. 3 years, $69 million. Their Mets supposedly offered $66 million, $3 million difference on a 3-year deal. And David Stearns, not to be confused with David Stern, David Stearns, the GM of the New York Mets, is getting crucified for his lack of activity, for losing Diaz. He did get the Soto signing done last year, which was okay. Supposedly there was a big rift between Soto and Lindor, and that compromised the team's chances, in some people's opinion, at least in the postscript and the obituary column after the season was over. Bitter disappointment with a collapse as colossal as any we've seen by the New York Mets, missing the postseason. Stearns now has traded a popular player, lost Edwin Diaz, their closer, and whiffed, which is appropriate, on Schwarber, who re-signed with the Philadelphia Phillies. Dave Dombrowski wins again. All right, Tony ready? Tony ready to go here on the show, Lubie? I didn't see. Oh, he is. Okay, very good. There he is. Tony, how are you, my friend? Is this your last day in South Florida?
This is my last day in South Florida. I'm heading out tomorrow.
Ooh. All right, and what? You're jumping in the car on this thing?
Jumping in the car.
Oh, wow.
All by
You
yourself?
grab by yourself?
Yeah.
Jesus, Tony.
Is that advisable, Tony? I mean, how many hours a day are you going to put in behind the wheel?
5 or 6.
Oh, okay. So you do it in spurts.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, that's not bad. All right.
Yeah. So it take me like 3 days, maybe 4.
Oh, okay.
I think Magellan could have got there quicker. What are you talking about? 5 hours a day? That's it? So what do you do? I mean, you stop at some elegant hotel and just start
elegant,
happy
yeah.
hour?
I look for free breakfast.
That's it. I always
Nice.
wonder when they advertise the continental breakfast, what continent they got the concept from. Like what third world country were they in when they came up with the continental breakfast?
Yeah.
All right, so you're looking forward to this, Tony?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You
Can't wait to
kidding
get
me?
out of here.
I look forward to it every year. I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
No, I just love it. I love it. I bring my change of clothes. I get ready, and
I would hope you bring a change of clothes. I mean, you're going to be up there for how long?
about 3 weeks, 3, 4 weeks.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you stayed until like, you were just a reverse snowbird. You go to the snow and come back hot as
I
hell
do.
here.
I go to the snow. I find the snow and I go to it.
Nice. Very good. All right. Many things to discuss here with Tony Segreto. Ed Garcia is going to join us as well. He's got to be giddy after watching this Michigan basketball team of his, which has stolen the spotlight from all of the talk about Michigan football.
They have really stolen the spotlight.
I think I thought I saw in a crawl that they have won 6 games or something like that by 25 plus in succession.
Jesus.
Which is pretty amazing. Dusty May, I mean, they're doing a hell of a job there with the Michigan Wolverines, number 2 in the country right now. So we'll talk to Ed Garcia about that. There was some college basketball last night of significance, as you did have Florida and UConn going at it. I like these early season matchups. Florida gave UConn all they could handle. They ended up losing 77-73, so pretty good battle there. I think Florida's only ranked 18th or somewhere around there. And UConn, I want to say, is in the top 5. But pretty good ball game. And there were other games of significance also on the college basketball slate. But Ed Garcia's got to be just absolutely euphoric that he goes right from a successful football season with signs of life into this basketball season where it looks like Michigan is going to be a power throughout the course of the year. All right, Tony, we didn't get your thoughts yet. The whole thing, Notre Dame, University of Miami. We had a lot of speculation about that. Where do you stand on the whole thing? And are you proud of your AD, Pete, don't call me Kurt Bavacqua, who is being just crucified, lambasted all around the country by virtually everybody for coming off as a bit of an asshole and an ingrate for, A, denouncing the ACC, B, bitching as much as he is, and C, abdicating the possibility and declining to go to a bowl game because some people feel they just don't want to give ESPN a freebie payday. So what's your feeling about all of that stuff?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm happy Miami got in. I don't know if they can run the table or not, but I'm happy they got in. Thrilled. As far as Notre Dame is concerned, I think the system is flawed. I think, if James Madison and Tulane didn't get in, I'd accept it. But they get in over Notre Dame, over Tulane, over Vanderbilt, over 4 and 10 and 2, 10 and 2 teams that deserve to be in. And the system is flawed somehow. The former ads need to go because if you're an ad for a team, you're prejudiced. You can't help but be just a little bit biased toward that team and toward the conference they're in. I don't know what the answer is, but if you're a Notre Dame fan, you're upset. If you're a Miami fan, you're happy. If you're a Tulane fan, you're happy. So, someone's going to be upset. This year, it's the Irish.
They seem like the least likely of teams to get screwed, though.
Yeah,
In my opinion, especially when you're talking about a selection committee that is going to be voting on a decision. One of the things that popped up, I believe that this is a change these league commissioners need to address, right? I mean, you had a Duke team in there with 5 losses. Clearly not as good of a season, or not even close, as the University of Miami. And yet they're in the ACC title game because of the Michigan system of tiebreakers that they use, where wouldn't the ultimate tiebreaker besides head-to-head competition be? They all ended up, like 6-2 in conference play.
Yeah.
And so Miami was not in the title game. But wouldn't you just make the first tiebreaker criteria besides head-to-head? I guess the second one would be who's ranked higher.
Your highest ranked.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, how do you have a 2-loss team not in the title game with a 5-loss team that's in there?
This whole system is flawed.
Yeah.
This whole system is a mess. To your words, Lubie, it's an absolute. What do you guys think about it?
Change needs to come about, no doubt. I don't worry I don't have as much anxiety about it as a lot of people do, because of the fact that they've already expanded the thing to 12 teams. So
they don't have to expand it anymore.
Is the potential national champion Notre Dame? Could they have had? They just won 10 games in a row. Are they that good? We don't know. I would have liked to have seen them have the possibility to at least prove that they weren't worthy of being in there. And I despise Notre Dame as much as I mean, Ohio State, Notre Dame, these are 2 teams I root against in every game. I root for them to lose. That being said, I'm sort of a fan of Freeman. I don't know that he's not a little overrated, but he did manage to straighten them out after they lost the first couple of games. So yes, those were contending teams and highly ranked, especially at the time. So, all right, maybe you can excuse that away. He did lose both of those games, though, which really hurts their argument about do they belong in the playoff. I mean, the 2 ranked teams that they played, they lost to.
Yeah.
So, they had a shot in there.
Yeah.
The margin, it doesn't necessarily, look, it's a strong argument. Okay, we lost to these 2 teams by a combined 4 points, but you did lose, and you started the season 0-2, and then you played a bunch of schleppers, and the only team you played of any significance after that was USC, as it turned out. They did beat them. Credible case, yeah. Are they more likely to win the title than James Madison or Tulane? Yeah, of course. Yes. You would have to say yes, but with 12 teams in there, it's not like Lubie's FSU team that got hosed, because I would have liked to have seen them in the postseason. I mean, it would have been more exciting to have a more illustrious program in there than. And I always like the weenie schools that get involved in the basketball tournament. I love the small conference championships.
Oh yeah.
But school like Hampton or whatever. There I am with Hampton again. What's up with Hampton? Everybody's Hampton. I'm losing it, Tony. All right, so you're all good. You're heading out to Heading out to Vermont tomorrow. Going to drive 5 hours. Now, what kind of hotel do you look for? You say with a continental breakfast, the freebie breakfast. Like, does it have to have one of those marquees out there and where it says free breakfast?
My son does. My son, God bless him, he does the navigating. So
Oh, he maps out the trip.
yeah, he maps out the trip for me.
Remember when you used to have the AAA map out a trip? This is, and you used to get that thing.
And the
It
thing
was a
you had.
giant book. And that's an encyclopedia, and would have everything mapped out. Here's where you can get an ice cream, all of this stuff. It was great. All right, we're going to bring Ed Garcia in a couple of minutes, we hope. So we're going to take a short break here, and also coming up later on, following the boys here from Old School, Tony and Ed, will be Len Robbins, our good friend Len Robbins, who you were gracious enough to cop those tickets for, Tony, which unfortunately he was unable to use. And I still have, if I did anything that I would have reason to respect myself for in 2025, and there's very little on the agenda this year. It would be that I didn't scalp your tickets that you got me for free.
Oh, you didn't? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God! If you did, if you
He went. He went to the game.
I went, and you know what? It was actually
they can track them now. They can track the tickets bought and the tickets.
But how would they know who sat in the seats? I mean, I was picking up the tickets one way or the other. How would they know? No, I mean, with all this secondary and third, and fourth world markets now, I mean, you can go to some flea market and buy Hurricane tickets that have already been sold 3 or 4 times. No, you know what? It was great. I always find this, and I probably should go to more games, although I just don't enjoy the experience as much as I used to. Once I'm there, I'm okay with it. I don't like all of the hassle that's involved trying to get there and then leaving. And I'm really not a big fan of just getting cremated at the concession stands and things like that. I know you don't have to eat or drink anything, but still, I mean, it's part of the whole trip. You get around a hot dog and a beer. But I always see things. I saw the flaws in that Miami team that night, where they just left Florida hanging around, and it was noticeable, much more so than it would be if you just watched the game on TV. I'll say that.
Yeah,
especially from those beautiful seats that you got for Len Robbins. You could hear Cristobal saying, "What do I do now? What do I do now?"
I think about you guys all the time because I think about the Cristobal factor, and
huge consideration. So is the Ryan Day syndrome, I think, now also. Right up there. Cristobal factor. Well, he hasn't been exhibiting it so much of late.
They haven't been in any close games.
He hasn't had to. Yeah, he hasn't had to.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll get into this with Ed Garcia. We'll come back
just a second. Think about that. Miami has literally gone through the season unscathed, except for those 2 losses.
That was a big scathing there, if you can be scathed.
No, but their wins never came close.
No, when they won handily. All the tight games they lost. Or the Notre Dame game got tight and they won by the skin of their teeth.
It only got tight because of the Cristobal factor.
Yes.
Because this guy, it's like unplugging the toaster before you stick a knife in there to grab the toaster. Right? You have to remember to do it. And Mario will unplug the toaster while he's toasting another team. He's just roasting them, burying them. And the next thing you know, they're still in a game. It's amazing. McDaniel has a little bit of that habit, although I think it's more common.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
He loves to leave teams in there. Yes. All right, we'll come back with more in a moment. Now that.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here.
The time. Sorry.
8:31.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Joe Bees. The bees collect the pollen, bring it to Joe, he packages it, and he gets it to you. It's simple, 100% natural, and it's good for you.
There's only one place to get Joe Bees, and that's from me. Joe B.
If you want to look and feel good, call 877-300-5632.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
All right, welcome back to the show. Yes.
Real quick. Watching ESPN right now.
Yeah.
They just said, tongue in cheek, who's coming out of retirement?
Yeah, I know. It's
Philip
ridiculous.
Rivers.
They just said Shador Sanders. No, they just said the guy from the Colts.
Daniel Jones. The guy who got hurt.
The guy. Oh my God! I just
Anthony
forgot.
Richardson?
No,
No.
a lineman.
Wow.
Played 14 seasons.
Like 20?
Art Donovan is coming back.
I don't know what he's talking about.
You know?
Jeff
Welcome, man.
Saturday?
I
Jeff
didn't know.
Saturday?
Jeff Saturday is
Oh,
coming
Jeff
back
Saturday.
out of retirement. Yeah,
He's
Jeff
coming back.
Saturday's
too?
coming out of retirement.
they're joking.
Oh, that's the joke. Yeah, he hasn't played in like a decade.
Tell you what. We were talking about, I mean, the euphoria this man must be experiencing here is we're old school with Tony Segreto. And we're joined by the ultimate Michigan fan, and that would be one Ed Garcia. And Ed, is that a round ball that you have somewhere in the background? Have you switched your allegiance to Michigan basketball at this point? Teams amazing.
I've always been a big fan of the Michigan basketball, but no, I still true and blue with the Wolverines. You know, I feel good about how their season went. If you remember, they weren't even predicted to win 7. I think they came out much stronger than anticipated. Very excited to hear all the coaching rearrangements, and they're just taking a deep dive into how things are going with development. The word is bringing on a quarterback coach to develop our $11 million project, which is very exciting. I feel, you can even see that a little bit at the Ohio State game, that he automatically was getting nervous, even though there wasn't a lot of pressure or he wasn't being rushed on or blitzed on. So I think there was a little bit of, everything, but I think we did well. We came out strong, and Ohio State dominated until the Hoosiers came along. And who would have thought after 150 years, they must have never heard of the NIL or what we called before the NIL, the SEC. So, but other than that, it was a pretty good wrap up for the year.
Nice shot.
We haven't given Cignetti enough credit for sticking with it and for resurrecting a program that was basically dead.
Yeah.
Right. But it's also just, it's a 2-part piece. Are they geniuses because they use the NIL correctly, or are they not geniuses because they waited so long? But it's phenomenal. I think this is changing the landscape of football. But at the same time, I was reading something yesterday, and I'm not perfect on the figures, but the amount of debt that colleges are going into.
Yep.
So I don't know if they're going to also start having to require where they get a percentage of OnlyFans or whatever they do, but they're going to have to do something, because Colorado is something like 30 million in debt. I heard even Ohio State last year was something pretty deep too. But, I think with the merchandising and hopefully some of the other pieces, things will come back to life. But they're going to have to figure out that delicate balance for sure.
You watch a lot more Ryan Day than us. Because you watch Michigan, I'm sure you catch Ohio State games in there. The knock on him is what we saw, what happened last year versus your Michigan team. That they never say that he played down to competition, but he goes away from what works to try and prove something at times. Where Michigan was rough, tumble, 3 yards cloud of dust. Ohio State could throw it everywhere. Magically in that game versus Michigan, before they were propelled through a ridiculous run into the playoffs and a championship, they tried to run a lot, and that's what Michigan does really well and defends really well. You haven't seen that really since that game until this last game. Like the Indiana game, I'm watching it and I'm like, why is Jeremiah Smith not seeing the ball? Why is Carnell Tate not seeing the ball? Like they were running it a lot. And Indiana's a good team and they play good defense and they're fundamentally sound, but it felt like, oh, there's Ryan Day. Like it felt like right, you haven't seen since that Michigan game. And again, Michigan won the game. But I've talked to Michigan. We talked to you. You said, look, they played to our style and they're not going to beat us at our style. Like you watch some more Ryan. Like, is this really like a thing that he does? Because I'm watching that game. I don't get to see a lot of Ohio State. They're usually up by 30, so I don't watch their games. And I'm watching that game going, I'm befuddled. Like at some point, don't you just chuck it up? Smith is being guarded by like 5'9" guys. Don't you just, he's tall, he's strong, and he has good hands. Don't you just chuck it up to him? Like they're in the red zone running the dumbest plays. I'm like, what are you guys doing? This guy is like the reincarnation of Randy Moss and Julio Jones in one. Like
he overthinks it. He overthinks it.
Yeah. He just gets comfortable. And, I do the same thing on the PlayStation. I keep doing the same play. I'm winning. And then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, let me try something different. Interception. Like it just, it's like, why did you change what you've been doing that got you there? Hey, Texas Roadhouse is the same thing. The bread is the same. The steaks are the same. I mean, we've had the same menu for 33 years, essentially. We've changed less than 10 items. Why? It works. So people are happy. We're not going to change it.
It works. And the grit on your hat doesn't mention the gristle you get when the team. Yeah. The butchers are in the cold and they trim every steak. They trim they comes out perfect, Ed.
Well, we definitely appreciate that. We last year, and actually our event is coming up on Monday. At the end of every year, I celebrate my team. I'm about 79 managers strong now throughout the East Coast of Florida, about 1,400 employees. And, we really just kind of, hey, who's got the Super Bowl trophy? We do everything all the way down, and it's pretty cool. Actually, one of our trophies is a game ball, somebody that made a difference. It's a really cool moment. And most of you know that Angel, who helps a lot in my kitchens, he won it last year. But we picked up, this grit, which, again, Dan Campbell contributed a little bit. I think he talked to me, but he's not aware of that. It may have been mental. But I really took on grit, and I do have a couple of people from Michigan on the team that lived throughout Michigan, and they enjoyed that part too. And we broke it down into 4 pieces. We talked about each quarter last year, one of the letters, and G was for growth, R is for resilience, I is for intuition, and quarter 4 is about tenacity. And that's how we take on our business. That's how we take on our life, is with grit. And we're going to fight to the very end. And go from there. So that's a big part about grit, that we talk about. And then this year, it's going to be somewhat the surprise, even though we're letting it out on Monday when we do our awards. We're going to be adding the tagline of pursuit, tackle, and triumph. So nice. Pretty exciting stuff. So any coaching spots that are available out there, let me know. I'm somewhat affordable. And I can make things happen. I'll get your team going. I'll get you that W.
I could see.
What about the Davie location? What about the Davie location, Ed?
It's coming together good. The same check you wrote to the NCAA for Miami. If you could do the Davie, that would be fantastic. So was it the check or was it the 3 Mercedes that showed up? I wasn't sure.
No, 2 Mercedes and a check.
Okay, perfect. Yes. All right. So, yeah,
Got 'em in.
I saw it was a really simple piece. When they got down to that, everyone got that text with this like hurricane, that emoji, and then it was just weird. But what an interesting debacle and conflict and human emotion involved. I mean, last year FSU, this year, Miami, Notre Dame. It's amazing that they just don't have a more legit governing body or some type of system. Now, granted, I don't want to see the BCS again, but still very, very interesting.
It was they're thinking the Notre Dame thing will calm down, but it's gaining momentum.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you look at, Miami lost to, correct me if I'm wrong, Syracuse and Georgia Tech.
Louisville and SMU.
Oh, yeah, Louisville and SMU.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Louisville, okay, they kind of flirted, but, they're not top 25 teams.
No.
Yes, Notre Dame did lose to Miami in the beginning of the season, okay? But I think that they gain strength and momentum, and we see that a lot in the pros as well. You lose the first couple games. I mean, look at the Dolphins. I mean, who are they right now? And they're gaining momentum, and they're pulling off these W's. I mean, who would have thought this year that they would have the same record as the Chiefs?
Yep.
I mean,
Exactly.
bananas. So,
Exactly.
But again, it is what it is. I'm glad I'm not on that side. By no means. And my address hopefully isn't that public because there's definitely some angry pandas out there with that whole deal. So,
Yeah, you don't want to alienate the people that are going to the South Bend store there.
Yeah.
Ed, always a pleasure. Congratulations on the rise of Michigan basketball also.
yes, absolutely.
The bigger question would be, do you pay $11 million for this quarterback to come back next year? And I'm thinking they'll probably do it. Tony, you have a good trip up to Vermont. And let us know your various stops along the way. I mean, do you even get out of Florida driving 5 hours on day one? You gonna end up in Jacksonville?
I'll get out of Florida first, and
Okay.
then I'll take it easy after that.
You got to at least make it to south of the border on the first day. There.
Oh yeah,
That still exists. Pedro says, come in here and buy a pecan.
Pedro says 5 more miles.
There's always that stinking speed trap, too, right there, where all of a sudden the speed limit goes to 0 for like 200 yards behind
Here's
some
a question: I don't know how they make money because every time I stop there out of this nostalgia.
Yeah.
Every time I stop there,
Empty?
no one's there.
Yeah. Well, nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. That's it.
Period.
Used to be like Disney World in there. It was amazing. No matter what
It
time
really
you
was. It
no matter
really
how stoned you were when you always stopped in there and said, I'll take one of everything. All right, Ed, always a pleasure, my friend. Tony, you have a great trip. And we'll see you guys on the next edition of Old School there with Tony Segreto, legendary broadcaster there, Tony Segreto. I can't believe he drives 5 or 6 hours at a pop, Lubie.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Doesn't it seem like it would? I mean, did Columbus take that long to get wherever the hell he landed? I don't know. Hey, where's the Santa Margarita? The third ship, of course. All right, this is a pleasure for us, and this is great. And the story involved Tony Segreto, actually. We probably should have left these guys on together. As we welcome to the program, one of our all-time favorites, longtime columnist, New York Post, now involved in a zillion enterprises. And also, we can call him, with credibility, the professor, because he's like a professor at 2 different schools. We welcome Len Robbins to the program. Len, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. I was just listening to that part of the show where that gentleman's going to drive approximately like 14 hours in a row to get to I don't know, some farm stand in upstate New York or something. and I remember once flying into Jacksonville,
yes,
renting a car, and I had to drive down to Gainesville.
Oh,
and
geez.
the woman at the Hertz counter said, now listen, that is a notorious stretch for speed traps.
Yes.
Right? They're also some of the most like depressed looking towns I've ever seen, right? And I think she said one of the towns. Well, I know she said one of the towns was Starkey, and
Stark, yes.
yeah, one of my good friends at the Sporting News told me, yeah, that's where old Sparky is, the
The
old
electric chair. Yes.
electric chair that used to short out.
Right.
Sort of like our new mayor here in New York, right? And sure enough, I got pulled over, right? Because it went from 55 to 15.
Yes.
So
Like one
even
second.
if I slammed on the brakes,
Yeah.
I just would have left skid marks from basically Starkey then to Jacksonville. But I will say this: the trooper was very nice.
Oh yeah. That's unusual.
I explained why I was there. Of course, visiting relatives at Old Sparky, and he let me go. So I'm
Wow.
always
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That never happens.
I know.
No, that's
I know.
where Old Sparky is where Don King used to go to get his hair done before his television appearances. He would just
Nicely
sit
done.
in the
Nicely
chair,
done.
the whole thing would go. And Tony was part of the story, of course, because unfortunately, the ill-fated trip to Miami, it didn't happen, and for family reasons. But we were looking forward to it, and you have no idea how I imposed on this guy to grab these tickets for that Gator game,
Oh
Gators
yeah.
Miami, right? So
God.
now here was the dilemma, Len, and you can relate to this because my big problem was when I found out you couldn't go. Do I go to the game, or do I scalp the tickets, which were probably going for about $1,500 a pop at that point? So now, can you scalp tickets that some guy went way out of his way to grab for you, and you got them for free? I mean, how unethical, how unscrupulous, how pathetic would that be? And yet, it was going to cross your mind, like should I sell these things? So I ended up going to the game, which turned out to be educational. In terms of, I realized that the Cristobal factor. Did they talk about this in New York? The Cristobal factor, that Mario Cristobal could screw up any game at any time if challenged. What is your feeling about that whole thing that happened with the CFP?
Well, first of all, is he related to Adam Gates by any chance? Mario Cristobal? I don't see a direct link, but I mean, except
Yeah.
they both spent time in Florida.
Yes.
Look, I think the CFP is. Have you ever looked at like the room full of people?
Yes.
Like those, I don't know, like 12 or 14 people sitting around. They look like they've been like anesthetized, right? And
It's like a grand jury, doesn't it?
yeah.
I don't know how many you've seen. I've
Not
seen a
anesthetized.
couple in my lifetime, but
I mean, they look about as disinterested
Yes,
as
yes.
four senior citizens playing mahjong or something.
Yes, yes.
I don't get it. Look, I pretty simple. I thought Notre Dame deserved to be in, and I thought Miami didn't.
did not.
And it's interesting because rarely do I tie together my teaching with this, but I did do like an impromptu survey in my class yesterday. I put up the three teams: Alabama, Miami, Notre Dame, and listed all the things you want to list, right? Record, strength of schedule, best breakfast in the morning, who they lost to, right, etc. And the vote came back. 14 said Notre Dame should be in. 12 said Alabama should be in.
Wow.
8 said Miami should be in.
Oh, really?
Oh, lowest
Yeah.
total.
And
Well, what about Alabama? I mean, supposedly, I don't know. I mean, you're going to hear a lot of conspiracy theories, but a friend of mine who knew a guy is saying that he knew a guy that knows that Nick Saban was on the phone with these guys. And apparently he convinced like Condoleezza Rice to change her vote and put Alabama in there.
Well, a lot of people don't know this, and I have tremendous respect for him. But Nick Saban's father was Deep Throat. And for those of you who think I'm making a sexual reference or anything like that,
No.
go check your history.
This isn't Debbie Does Dallas. So.
Watergate.
Yeah, I mean, look, how is corruption is a word we're hearing a lot lately, and for good reason. But I mean, do you think all of this stuff is even remotely on the level, Len Robbins? I mean, what's your feeling about this?
I'm very dear friends with a woman who used to be on the selection committee, Kelly Whiteside, who's a great writer for USA Today and a couple of other places. And I know, having spoken to her, that they do. It's not like I have some novel take on this, right? We all know what the rankings were going into that last weekend. We knew what the head-to-head was. It didn't seem to be factoring. And, if you look at Notre Dame's 2 losses, right, one was at Miami. And I'm not taking anything away from the Hurricanes, right? But that was an amazing catch that kid made, in that Miami game.
But
right?
there was 2 ridiculous catches in that game.
Right. And then you go to the Texas A&M game, and basically a missed extra point,
Yep.
could have very easily kept Notre Dame from finishing 11-1. We wouldn't be sitting here. But I'm saying both losses were like ridiculously out of this world and legitimate, right?
Yep.
Legitimate.
Yes.
I mean, I know at the time Alabama, Florida State, seemed like a big game, right? But
Yeah, no, that was a horrible loss.
then Florida State, the entire team came down with Cristobalitis.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
So I don't know. I do think that there is almost like a DNA running through this, that the SEC gets a little bit of the nod. I don't know. Call me silly, call me crazy. Yeah, but I think the SEC gets a little bit, more so than the Big Ten.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing is I swore going after last year, okay, it's to the Power 2, and eventually it'll be the Power 2, and it's the SEC and the Big Ten. This year it was like, is it? It feels like it's just the SEC, and they did everything they could to rework that thing. The thing about conference championship games, where it's like, okay, are you going to take teams that don't play in one at all over teams that lose in one? I got that, but my problem is, you use that argument for Bama, but you don't use it for BYU, like who has less losses. They had 1 loss at the time. Now they only have 2, and they have a nice resume, and they're left out in the cold for the same argument that got Bama in with 3 losses. So they're so inconsistent. That's the problem. And look, I'll give it to Canes fans. I'll give it to Notre Dame. I didn't know how to read anything. Every week it was like, what are they doing? And then the last week to move people up who didn't play and move people back who didn't lose. It was like, what is going on with this? Like, that's the thing that is mind-boggling. Is it's a playoff, but it's really not. If you're voting people in, that's not a playoff. A playoff, people get in and people don't make it. This is a lot of my fellow FSU fans will call it invitational. And that's sort of what it feels like. And it's really confusing people and frustrating people to the point where you lose a little bit of the pizzazz for it. Like it feels like the desire to watch this and care about this as much as it once was isn't there. And I think I put it into the committee that they were so confusing every week. Do you see them trying to fix it? Do you see them trying to make it more simplistic, more understandable?
One thing we can say about Notre Dame pretty safely, right? They are America's college football team. I know people in Alabama just, took out their shotguns and said Google and Robbins, but they are, right? They've got the Subway alum. I mean, they literally could play in some small town in South Dakota with sellout, right?
Yes.
So I understand to some degree why there was such a, pro Notre Dame anti-selection committee reaction. But when it comes to your argument, Lubie, I understand Alabama had, 3 quote unquote legitimate losses. Okay. But they got blown out in the SEC championship game. I mean, but they were dominated in every phase of the game. Yep. And I think, alluding to what you were saying, it seems like the narrative changes every week.
Yes.
So people don't know what's really important. Okay. Yep. Yes, I know the commissioner said very early on, the head of the, selection committee that, head to head, is important. Right. But you tell me, I mean, is Notre Dame not one of the 5 best teams in the country now? I mean, they won 10 straight and it wasn't even close. And I know some people are saying, well, they never beat a ranked team. Right. Okay, fair enough. But they lost to, at that time, I think the number 3 team in the country by a point. Mm-hmm. And you guys tell me how many teams that are highly ranked go through a season where they get into the cupcake portion or the lesser strenuous portion of the schedule and, barely escape.
Yep.
Right. Notre Dame never let that happen.
Nope.
They just put their foot down from the get-go.
Yep.
I'm sorry. To me, they should be in.
You got me wanting to put a uniform on and win one for the Gipper. My God. You know where we stand. We thought Rudy was offsides. We were screaming that in the movie theater there. He's offsides. Where's the effing flag? They're coming over. They're throwing popcorn, all kinds of crazy stuff. All right. Well, there's more logic. I was thinking as you were speaking about the logic that was involved in this and the consistency of it. But you could go to the World Boxing Council annual international convention and find more logic in the way that they rank fighters than you do in the way that these guys ended up ranking teams. All right, let's go to the coaching carousel here. Where
Can I just say one thing? And I know it's your show. I feel bad about this, but this is why Defo is Defo, right? He manages to bring boxing into this, right?
Yes.
Which, up until the College Football Playoff Selection Committee, was the most corrupt organization in the world, right? And I remember covering so many fights where there would be, the three judges ringside, right? And one guy has it like 122 to 122. And one guy has it 115 to 111 for one fighter. And the other guy has it like 120 to nothing for the other fighter, right? And I'm like,
he's a guy with the attaché of Russian diamonds up to his wrist. He's walking out of him, man. Arm in arm. He gets in the Don King's limousine after the fight. They used to have the same three guys. So we used to call them Helen Keller,
Mo Larry,
and Ray Charles. Adelaide Bird out of New York. I believe she might have been a New York State athletic commissioner for a while, following in the footsteps of her good friend Randy Gordon.
Speaking of corruption.
Yes, she had the worst, I think the worst scorecard ever in the history of boxing when she had a guy that was carried out on a stretcher winning like 118, 110. And they're reading them the scores, unfortunately, as they're taken into the ambulance that was outside the arena there. But there was never any logic to it, to what those guys were doing, and it seems like it's about the same. All right, so let me ask you this. I don't know how many times you've encountered Lane Kiffin in your career in terms of maybe writing about college football or any phase of sports, but I mean, he's crucified for leaving. I don't know. Do you think that this guy's a rat for leaving Ole Miss for LSU and a clear-cut better opportunity with the infusion of capital, speaking of NIL, that he probably will have to win a title if that was one of his goals? Meanwhile, other guys made changes. Nobody said boo about it.
Okay, so two things, right? I don't know of any profession in the world where if a competitor comes by and says, we'll offer you whatever, $3 million a year to jump ship, right? I'm from the don't let the door hit you in the ass club, right? So of course not, I don't blame him, right? I mean, nor do I blame, when Signetti left James Madison for Indiana, right? The thing about Lane Kiffin is every time I look at him, and based on the way he handled this, I see like that 14-year-old wise ass in like my high school freshman class, who is just has a knack for rubbing everybody the wrong way, right? I mean, that whole thing about I'll make a decision after the Egg Bowl, his family flying to LSU in Florida, right? I'm surprised they didn't all wind up at Mar-a-Lago and play 18 or something, right?
Tim Tebow's waiting on their table, at the restaurant.
If I was the AD, I understand, and I always try and live by this rule. I really do, as naive as it is. We should always act in the best interest of the student athlete. Well, they're all extinct. The players, right? We should all act in the best interest of the players. So maybe it was in the best interest of the Ole Miss players to have Lane Kiffin through the Egg Bowl. They win. They're in the playoff, right? But he just could have been frank about it like so many other guys and said, it's a very entertaining offer. It's one of those, 5 or 6 jobs in the country that's impossible to move away from. But, for the next 2 weeks, my focus is on Ole Miss. Why couldn't he have just said something like that?
Exactly.
Right? I mean, I know, it's called chalk in like the reporting business. Like, oh, well, you say anything? Now I gave you chalk, right?
Sure.
But I mean, the whole thing was just like a charade. It was kind of like a Miss America pageant.
It was reminiscent of the Nick Saban departure from the Dolphins, where it seemed pretty clear that he was hiding something. And the more irritated he got with the question, the more obvious it was that he was going to move to Alabama. And you're asking yourself, well, is there a noble way of carrying this off? Is that you do have conflicts there. I don't know. I mean, the guy, look, he was going to grab the money and take the better position. And I don't know that there are that many people that would have said no to that. So I didn't blame him at all, for making the move. And it had to have elements of ugliness to it. I mean, there was no great way to work that out. It's kind of like earlier when you were talking about being snubbed, and all I could think of was the many times that I've had a woman throw a drink in my face after I asked her if she wanted to go out again at dinner. And you're like, well, that'll put a stop to that conversation. That's for sure. All right, so who do you see winning it all, Len Robbins? Who has a shot? I'm tempted, and you'll appreciate this on our chat line. I don't know if you can see it while you're on the broadcast here. But it was suggested that the tiebreakers should be decided by your record against the spread. Leave it to our audience to come up with solutions to things that make perfect sense. How much pain you suffered at the expense of a given team. But who do you see winning it all? I mean, we talk about the crystal ball factor here, that he can, even in that Notre Dame game, they're dominating the game. And the next thing you know, Notre Dame, with a freshman quarterback making his first start, is right back in it with this guy rallying like he was the second coming of Peyton Manning. And then you have Ohio State going against Indiana. Ryan Day reverts back to some of the bizarre tactics where you're thinking, this guy's in on the fix. What do you think? Who's going to win this thing?
Well, first of all, I'll tell you who I want to win this thing, and it's not for the reason that you might think. I want James Madison to win it all, okay? I do. And here's why.
All right.
Before the season started, I put $25 on James Madison to make the CFP.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
It's been decent the last few years, but still, that's
So
impressive.
you were sweating out this Duke game. I mean, come on, Glenn.
Right? So,
spend some of that money
yeah,
to Manny
Virginia
Diaz
did.
for actually coming through.
So, like, I now have like a sweet little, I wouldn't call it bankroll, right? Because how much can you make when you really put $25 down?
Sure.
But I have a nice little, cushion now for all the bowl games that I get wrong. By the way, this should come with a disclaimer, like smoking, right? That, the smoking has been proven to cause death, birth defects, and, an affinity for ABBA, right?
Right.
How can you bet on any one of the bowl games now when, like, you don't even know who's playing?
No.
Never mind who's coaching,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Can't.
who's playing, right?
Well, I mean, we used to joke about the Hawaii Bowl because, one team would show up and be determined to go ahead and close out their season, and the other team, I mean, it looked like they just, got kicked out of Animal House. And you would see the two teams on the sidelines, and if you're ever going to make a judgment based on body language and reports, the quarterback was diving off the third-story roof of the hotel into the pool just hours before the game. You're thinking one team is uninterested, but now, I mean, it's every game is like that. You don't know. I mean,
Well, let's just, and I know you want to stay on coaching for a second. That's fine, but let's extrapolate this, college football playoff, cluster. I won't say the last part of that, right?
Yeah.
Cluster fart.
rhymes with
So
suck.
not only has it like screwed up the playoff, look at all these teams now that are opting out of bowl games.
Yes.
All right. So, I won't say that bowl games are becoming extinct, but this is just sort of like I think yesterday was the first day of the season for black bear hunting in New York State, right?
Oh, in New York State. They're doing it in Florida, too. It's a big controversial thing here.
Right. Okay. So, like, if I'm bowl committees now, I'm running for the hills like the Black Bears.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I mean, can you imagine? You thought you had Notre Dame in a bowl, and now you have like Old Dominion or something.
Who cuts the ribbon on that in New York? Is it RFK Jr. To get the season rolling? Did he have like a bear in his car or something?
Yes.
They claimed, yeah.
Then before we let you go, we have a listener question. Mr. New York, Giants or Jets? Who has the better future?
Better future. I'm
Yes,
going to
brighter
say.
future, better chance of winning in the near future.
Oh, that's different. Winning. Let's define future. I don't know how old this gentleman is, but let's define that first. I actually think right now the Giants do, simply because I think they actually have some talent on that team. I mean, if Jackson Dart comes back healthy, I think he showed enough for there to be belief, right? Cam Scatterbo, I voted for him with one of my Heisman votes. That defensive front is terrific. I think they've got a chance. I am leery about you keeping the GM, at least for now, but you already fired the coach. I think the defensive coordinator, the water boy, and one of the guys on the chain gang.
Always fire the hitting coach.
So maybe the question should be, which team is going to get functional first?
Yeah.
The Jets or the Giants?
Tough to say anything positive about the Jets after watching this last debacle. That was a disgrace of a game against the Dolphins, which we were paying closer attention to the Jets than we normally would on any given week, but disaster written all over.
Aren't the Dolphins one of the 4-11 teams that is still mathematically alive?
They're there. They're right there. Knocking on the door.
4 in a row or something like that.
Took some crap yesterday. You're familiar with Jason Cole, a longtime NFL writer and frequent visitor to our program, who, by the way, owns a bagel shop. Think about this. For all the Jews that are in Gainesville, he owns a bagel shop there. So,
how do you make money serving 15 people?
I don't even think the number's that high. I mean, you may have to go to Stark to find another Jewish person, and he's in death row for cheating his accountant.
By the way, I don't know if you guys have a guest waiting or if you're up against the break, but do you have time for one quick Saban story?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I don't remember how many years ago it was. This is 15 years ago. Alabama was playing in the BCS or whatever it was back then, championship game, and the game was at the Rose Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. And so they had a mandatory media session. They brought the coaches and I think select players to the, what do they have out there? Disney World, right? Disneyland is in Florida.
Disneyland. Disney World's here. Disneyland.
Yeah, they have Disneyland. The original.
Anaheim, I guess.
Near out on the West Coast, right?
Yes, Disneyland's out west.
Right,
Disney
World. Disney World, or the quarterbacks ago when they were after the Super Bowl, right? Yes. And so Saban showed up, and at that point in his career, he changed his thinking on this, and I thought it was admirable. Saban thought having to do media was about as much fun as being stuck on an elevator with Bill Belichick, right? And he answered most of the questions, and at one point he even said, what am I doing here? What do I have to come hang out here? And the next day, Bill Plaschke, the fantastic columnist in the Los Angeles Times, one of the best ever, he said, there's a new character here. It's Grumpy.
Does seem that way. It was kind of like when Steve Carlton wanted to become a broadcaster after stiffing the media forever. And here's Nick Saban all over TV selling virtually anything. I think he was even selling one of those little things that you put on your desk and you move your feet. And supposedly it cures every blood disorder that you have in your body while you're doing this and constitutes some form of exercise. I thought I saw Saban with one of those. So anyway, not surprising. And I don't know if he made that phone call. Like I said, I know a guy who knows a guy who thinks he heard from a guy that something unscrupulous was going on there. Len, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll have to do it more often, that's for sure. And I do feel good. That was my one mitzvah of the year, was I didn't scalp those freebie tickets that I got for the Florida UM game.
And look, you know this. Both of you guys know this, right? The worst business to be in is like a sports reporter, broadcaster, whatever, is the ticket business.
No doubt.
So, because God knows how many times, I had, my ex first cousin call me, and say, He needed 2 for this, right? And
Yeah.
It's
you
really
literally
vanilla. Yes, exactly.
you jump over bridges and under tunnels, and you come up with 2.
Yeah.
And then, like the day before,
Can't go.
you know, the dog is favoring, you know, his back leg a little, you know.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's rough. I'm more inclined now to be asking for tickets than getting them for people, so that's good.
Yeah, and I felt so bad about that.
Oh no, it turned
I
out
mean,
okay.
at an
Yeah.
emergency.
Look, it
But
was a pleasure. I was so happy that we were able to come through. I couldn't believe it because we really put some pressure on Tony Segreto, the great broadcaster out of Miami for many years. He did the George Michael Sports Machine. He was on some national levels as well.
Sure.
And man, you should have seen that. He pulled us out of his ass, Len. It was incredible. I mean, and Lubie knows I badgered him for like 9 weeks.
No, it was like a couple
Saying,
months.
Len Robbins, it's for my buddy Len, believe me. Because if it was for me, he wouldn't have done it.
No. No, so you.
I will tell you
Yeah.
this. I will tell you this. In this household,
Yeah.
Defo, you are like a legend. You are, because you know, built around the tickets. I had a hotel for us, a really nice hotel on South Beach. Of course, you know, I used Marriott points.
Right.
You know, I think you were going to either get us into
You
Joe
were gonna
Stone
be in
Crab,
Joe's. I
or
think you can do it now on your own. You can just walk in there and say, "Hey, I want table 2," and you're okay.
all right. Well, and just so people get the full gist of this, right? One of the reasons we couldn't come was my wife decided the 11th hour. She did get ill, and that was like the bottom line, right? She decided we should adopt another dog.
Oh, Jesus.
Now we already had an 11-year-old dog that was bipolar, right?
I have one now.
Can you imagine going to a vet and having them say your dog is bipolar? And I'm like,
I think they all are to some degree.
yeah. Well, yeah. So she adopted another one. He's schizophrenic.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
I got a dog for him to meet. He's on his way down the stairs right now. He's usually barking during the show. I mean, the evil side comes out. Len, we love you, man. We got to run. But, thanks so much. We'll do it again soon.
Guys, right back at you. Thank you so much for having
Len
me.
Robbins, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we really do have to fly here. We will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. And we'll catch you tomorrow. The next edition of the program should have Dave Gurgles Gurgly in the Trivia Challenge.
Yes.
For everybody connected with the show, and Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. We'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:14.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.